Welcome, welcome, you guys. I'm so excited today to be talking about collecting gold coins with Instagram. So, we're going to talk about how you can really increase your business, improve your business by improving your Instagram growth. And it is not impossible nowadays, it really is still possible. I grew my Instagram over a period of 6 months. I grew 10K within this last year. I grew by 10K in 6 months alone. And I'm just a photographer, I'm not an influencer or something like that. So you guys can definitely do it too. Now I'm at over 19K in followers. I have really high engagement, and I just really want to share that with you, how you can improve your Instagram without any paid ads or services. So I'm Amber from Light Livin' Photography, and just to tell you guys a little bit about myself first, I was a nationally certified interpreter for the deaf for over 15 years. That was my main profession. I rented a camera for my son's first birthday. I think like a lot of you guys in this community, where you just want to document your kid and then you find out you fell in love with it. Like you're like, where was this in my life for so long? And I started doing little $50 sessions, and now I do over $1,500 sessions. So I really want to let you guys know that this could be possible for you, and growing your Instagram is just really going to grow and support that. First, I want to get rid of that idea that the algorithm is some bad, evil thing. People are always complaining in such a negative way. The algorithm is why I can't grow. The algorithm this, the algorithm that. Because Instagram, when it first started, it would just show things in the order of chronologically who posted what, and it was just a lot easier to see anything and everything. But I actually don't like that. I don't want to see anything and everything. I like to see what's relative to me and what's something that I'm going to be really interested in on Instagram and what I'm going to love. I see a lot in my feed, the Explore page. I see a lot of flowers and English countryside and gorgeous things, and occasionally like little kittens, because I see things that I search for and that I absolutely love. So I love that Instagram shows me things that get my, positive neurons going in my brain. And I think you guys should love it too. And just embrace the idea that Instagram is going to show relative content to people who like that content. And that's a good thing for your business. You just have to know how to kind of make your content specific to an audience. First step, we're embracing the algorithm. We're just changing our mindset about that, make it into a positive thing. And think of it like a little Mario Kart game. I have 2 little boys, and so we sometimes play Mario Kart. And I think of it like this: whenever I get DMs from people, or I get comments on my page, or people are just interacting with my stories, those are little gold coins. So I want you guys to think of it like you're just driving a Mario Kart game and you're like ding, 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 picking up all these little gold coins. And those are going to boost your so-called algorithm, but we need to think of them as gold coins in our stash and have it be fun. Let's eliminate that negative pressure that we have around Instagram and just thinking, oh, I just have to post because I have to post. No, we don't. We need to just think of it as a fun game, and we're going to use these strategies to just improve our growth. So secret number 1, we definitely want to utilize carousels. I still see a lot of people posting just one photo as their post, and that is going to not have as much engagement as when you post 6 or 8 or 9 photos from a session that have distance shots, mid shots, close-up shots, emotion shots, action shots, all these different ones. I know you have more than one photo from that session that looks really pretty. So go ahead and use the carousels. Don't just post one, because there could be someone who really loves number 4. Say, I have all the time, I'm like, that first photo that's the Instagram shot, but then people in the comments will be like, oh, that number 4 photo is amazing, that number 5 photo, that's my favorite. And I'm like, oh, really? Good thing I put it in there. So definitely use those carousels. It's going to boost your engagement and get you more likes for sure. And it also creates like a mini story, kind of like when you send a gallery to someone and it has like a full story of the session with different poses and different emotions and all of that. So having those different elements creates a mini story from that session. And I really think it's a great idea for photographers to make sure they're utilizing that. Okay, so this next one, you may think this is a no-brainer, but you'd be surprised how many people just post and ghost, meaning they post something and then they never come back to engage with the people who engaged with the post. So there's two reasons why it's really important to engage and comment back and appreciate those followers. So number one, if someone goes to your feed a lot and they're starting to comment and saying, wow, your work is beautiful. Oh, I love that shot. Whatever the positive comment they leave and you just don't even acknowledge it, why would they ever come back? If say they engaged 3 times and you never responded, why would they come back? Because they don't feel seen or heard. People always want to feel seen and heard. So you need to make sure you comment back on every single post and say, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Even the more words, the better that you can comment back. But a lot of the time I just say, wow, I really appreciate that. And it makes people feel good about coming to my feed and engaging. And that's why I have a really, really high engagement rate. I typically get 1,000 plus likes on my photos and hundreds of comments. So I always like to make people feel seen and heard. The second reason for that engagement back is that it's going to boost your algorithm. Again, and I don't like that word, but to help you guys understand, it's going to help Instagram know that, oh, that is interesting content. People like that content. We should put that out to more people, because at first they only put it out to 10% of your audience. So, you're only going to get a small handful of people seeing that content. But if Instagram sees that right away people are starting to interact and you are commenting back and there is this social back and forth. Now remember, Instagram wants you to be social. They want you to have conversations. That's the most important thing about that platform. So if they see that happening on a post, they're like, oh, we need to put this out to more people. They put out to 20%. And then if they see more engagement, then they'll put it out to 30%, etc. And that's how it ripples and you get a lot more engagement on your posts. And then more engagement on your posts means more Instagram is going to put it into Explore page, which it can be, more difficult to get into like a Explore page of people who don't even follow you. And if you have lots of likes, they're going to put it onto people who are unknown to you on their Explore page and show it to them. And that's what you want for real growth. If people are not commenting quite yet, there's a couple things. Number one, we want to improve our work, and I'll talk about that later too. There's some things that we can do to get some education to really get our work up to a level where it's going to be a scroll stopping image. But also you can do a call to action in the post. If you're like, yeah, my work is good, why aren't people commenting? Then maybe just try doing more call to actions. Like instead of just saying a statement about it, you want to ask them what was their favorite XYZ, or what's something they're doing for Christmas this week, or just something to get people more personal. Even if they're not commenting on that specific photo, they can still talk to you about something that you put in your caption. Another example, if you blog for your business, would be to ask people what they're interested in seeing on your blog and give them a few choices like XYZ. You could say, are you interested in getting more styling tips, more tips for posing, more tips for getting kiddos ready before the session? If you want to focus on photographers, that's great. Or if you want to focus on helping clients more, the more you help clients too, the more they can be like, oh, that's the photographer I want to go to, because she not only posts great images, but she also gives really great tips. And I know she's going to be really helpful for our session. Okay, DMs are so important. I think people don't realize that actually boosts your algorithm points. And I kind of like to say it's more like points or gold coins. When you get a message from someone, unless it's like some spam message, of course, delete. But if you get a message from someone, a genuine follower, you definitely want to engage with them back, have a conversation. Even if you have a photographer friend who you text, you could have a conversation on Instagram and it can increase your points in Instagram, because they're saying, oh, she's using this app to communicate with people. She's making these relationships and these friendships and having a social game on Instagram, and that's what we want. So we're going to increase her points and put out her work to more people. So if you're not getting a lot of DMs and questions from people, a great way to do that is to get on your stories. You can get on your stories and talk about a bunch of different things, but one of the key secrets to getting DMs on your stories is using those stickers. So they have a poll option. You can do, what do you like better? Or what do you want to see more of, X, Y, or Z? Or pick between this location and that location. Or just ask me a question. Or what would you like to see more of from me? Just ways to interact with people so that they can talk to you and have a reason to DM you, and then that can start some conversations in your DMs. Okay, so next secret I want to help you guys with is mining for followers. Now, I can't take credit for this. I totally learned this from Jenna Kutcher's Goal Digger podcast several years ago, and I always thought it was so great. And this is not something that I do anymore now that I have a larger audience, but it's something that definitely helped me get over that hump of 1K, 2K, when I feel like that's the hardest thing, is getting to 1 or 2K, and then after that, it's so much easier. So one of the things you can do is go to your favorite follower or your favorite photographers' accounts. So like if I'm a photographer you like, go to my account, look who's following me, who has like a smaller following. And if you like their work too, then go ahead and give them a follow and go to some of their posts that you really actually genuinely love and comment and engage. Because I think a lot of the time people say, why is nobody engaging with me? And they're just sitting there asking like, why isn't everything coming to me? Well, really, are you going to them and reaching out? Because on Instagram, that's how you get the points. You going out and talking to new people and making new connections. That's how you get somewhere on Instagram. You can't just sit there and do a post and like be in your bubble. You have to kind of find accounts that you really love and enjoy and go and comment on those. And especially with smaller accounts that maybe a similar size range to you. So say you're at like 2,000 followers or 1,000 followers, and you see this other account that's maybe around the same amount, 1, 2, or 3,000 followers, and you engage on those accounts, I am pretty sure they're gonna follow you back, especially after a couple times, and they're gonna start engaging on your post because they're gonna be appreciative of that. Now, once you get into like following bigger accounts, they might not notice as much because they're getting a lot of follows and comments every day. So that might not be the best place to like mine for followers, but they are a great place to go into their followers and find key accounts that you relate with. And the other important element is making sure it's genuine. Okay, so we don't want to put any fake comments or go follow people just willy-nilly just because we're trying to engage and get the points up. You really need to genuinely like these accounts because, I'm going to say this a couple times throughout, Instagram is about relativity. And so when they see that you are interested in light and airy or whatever it is, whatever style of photography you're into, they're going to show you more accounts like that and vice versa to that person. So you want to stay in that genre of what you actually like and enjoy. Because if you start to go comment and like on all these dark and moody accounts and you actually don't like that, Instagram's going to be confused about your niche and your likes and what you're interested in, and that can kind of mess up your algorithm. Use hashtags. Obviously, everyone's like, yes, hashtags, but do we really need them anymore? Some people say we don't, but I still think that we totally need them, and they have helped me throughout the way of growing my Instagram 100%. So Instagram really wants you to utilize the hashtags really just because they want to know what is your niche, okay? It's not because it's going to massively grow or massively have a larger engagement if you have 30 hashtags versus 10 hashtags. No, but it's going to figure out what is your niche based on those hashtags and put it out to the correct people because they want to match like for like. They want to match you to the right audience. And if you're not using those hashtags, you are missing an opportunity there. Okay, so you want to use a combination of hashtags. So you're trying to use all 30 that are available to you in that caption, but you can combine geo hashtags, which mean like the location that you're at. So I put in Bay Area photographer into almost all my posts, and then I also do local cities like Walnut Creek photographer or Danville photographer, target areas that I want to make sure that families in those areas see my posts. And then you can also do blog hashtags, which are really, really helpful because people who love that style, they're gonna see that in their Explore feed if you hashtag that blog. So you don't have to be featured in that blog at all. You can do, for instance, the White Wren has a style that's pretty light and airy, and they sometimes include like family type of photos. They just featured one of mine actually. So you can use their hashtag, but even if you're not featured on them, you can totally use the hashtag. So if I have a styled shoe of a beautiful dress and a model and a headpiece, I could use the Ruffle blog or Magnolia Rouge or anything that I feel like fits that style for that photo. So you do want to make sure you're matching the blog hashtag with what you're actually posting and making sure that that style is in alignment so that, again, Instagram can recognize which niche you are in and show your work to the correct audience. You want to be careful not to use irrelevant hashtags. So if it's a photo of a mommy and baby, you're not going to put a hashtag on it that's for a wedding or something like that. You don't want to ever confuse Instagram. We want to be very clear with Instagram what it is, what's the style, who it's for, and that's what the hashtags are for. They're to categorize different images and ways for people to find you. So if I have a mommy and baby, I'm gonna have maybe mommy and baby poses or different things that talk about that style, that niche. Okay, another thing that I add to a lot of my photos is enchanted photography or whimsical photography, fine art photography, things that are gonna interest people in that realm. So there's people who really love like fairy tale type enchanted whimsical images, and so I want my work to find or them to find my work. I want Instagram to show my work to them. And if you use words that kind of describe your brand and things that will attract the right people to you, that can really help people to engage and follow your account more. Another thing you need to keep in mind, which a lot of people don't know about, is you don't want to ever copy and paste hashtags. It's really important. It's a big no-no for the algorithm, and Instagram sees it and they recognize, okay, you're using the same hashtags over and over and they're not relevant. Like you're saying that this photo that was shot here is located over here and it's conflicting information, and also if it sees it in the same order every time, it starts to think that there's a bot managing the account, and they are always trying to weed out bots on Instagram, which I appreciate. I don't want bots either. So what I do is look at that exact image. I have some hashtags that I use over and over, but they're always put in by hand every time I'm typing them in, and they're in different order because I'm doing it by hand. So like Bay Area photographer isn't always the first hashtag I do. It may be in the middle or at the end or something like that. Even though I use it all the time because it is relevant to my location, it doesn't have to be in the same spot every time. Okay, so in your captions, we really want to avoid just bland statements about the work. Those are the accounts that I see really struggle to grow, and they're really spinning their wheels because they're always just saying, oh, sweet photo, this cute girl on the beach, just look at her, she's so adorable. You kind of reads like that, right? Where you're just like, that's so boring. And unless you're that child's mom, you're not really excited. I mean, you might think it's a beautiful image, but you're not really gonna engage. You just swipe past because there's nothing engaging about that caption. You can still say, oh, this is a beautiful family, beautiful session, but then also add something that's a personal element, because if people are following you, they care about you and they don't really care about your clients, really. They don't want to know about your clients too much. Like, they really want to know what's a personal detail that they can find about you that's relatable to them. So you want to avoid bland blanket statements on your photos that are just too business-like, I guess, and include your personal life. But you want to make sure you keep it positive because this is a professional account. Yes, we want to be relatable and talk about our lives. Like, oh, this week we went to the pumpkin patch, or today I'm doing 10 loads of laundry. That's okay to say like that. But if you're like, oh my God, I hate my kids. I have so much laundry to do. Oh, my husband's stressing me out. Then people are like, ooh, what's that? That caption or whether people are like, ew, David. You know, no one really wants to follow that because that negativity, we don't want negativity in our lives. I mean, I know I don't. So it can be definitely good to share your challenges, but in a productive way, like with a silver lining. Like say, oh my gosh, you guys, I love this photo, and like the couple had such an amazing love, and it reminded me back of when my husband and I got married, and something about your life. And then you could say, we've actually had a lot of challenges lately and some things that we've been going through, just misunderstandings, and we've been delving into that and solving it by XYZ. So you always want to kind of put like offer, if you're putting something negative, offer a way to spin it and like so it can actually be inspirational to them. So maybe they're going through that challenge too, but they don't need to hear just negativity and complaining about it. What they need is like a switch to flip and see it in a different light and have the silver lining. So it's okay to include challenges from your life sparingly, but make sure you're also showing the silver lining with that. Okay, so this next secret really relates to helping you find your own niche, because the more niched you are, the more Instagram knows who to partner you with. If you're all over the place with your topics and your content, they don't really know who you are or who to show your account to. So one of my tips for creating your niche and adding a specific spin to your brand is be a kid again. Think about your inner child. Like, what did you love as a child, and kind of infuse that into your brand. When you were a kid, for example, were you obsessed with Star Wars, or were you obsessed with sports? Maybe you're kind of a more sporty fashion photographer, and you can kind of include that into your brand. For me as a kid, I was always running around making flower crowns with dandelions and frolicking in the forest and sitting by the river and just engulfed in nature and things like that. So for me, my brand, one of the key elements is to show really whimsical, enchanted fairy tale type images with flower crowns and this really whimsical element. And so that's just something that gives people an opportunity to connect to if that is also something they're interested in. All right, for this next tip, I'm going to talk about focusing on composition and lighting, because you can't put the cart before the horse. I think that's how that saying goes. But you don't want to have trying to get scroll-stopping images if you don't first have a really great foundation of composition and lighting that is going to attract an audience to really say wow and stop them in their scroll. So the most eye-catching images on Instagram, they have amazing lighting. So it's not just a picture of a dog on a wooden floor with no light in the background, nothing really interesting about it. It's just a dog on the floor. You can have great dog photos, but they would have an amazing composition and light and location and all of that. So you really need to know how to frame your subjects. If you're doing outdoor photography, really know how to frame them with elements out in nature, and really learn how to use light to also create emotion in your photos, and that's going to really stand out. All right. Create emotion in your photos too. Those are the ones that are the most scroll stopping. It could be just a maternity mama with the most perfect composition and light, but if she's just like staring at the camera awkwardly stiff, it's not going to get a lot of engagement, right? So we need to learn how to use prompts to get people to connect in our photos, and use movement so that they're not stiff in the photos. In this picture here that you see, this adorable mama and her daughter, I said, tell her something that you're proud of her for. And you can see just the cutest look, not only on the kid's face, she's kind of got this shy little coy smile, but the mom is beaming at her, because you can tell like just that emotion behind the photo. So those those photos are going to have more engagement than ones that don't have some sort of prompt or feeling behind them. Okay, so this next one is really important to me, and I know for some influencers and bloggers and other types of accounts, it may not be as important, but I feel strongly that as a photographer, for me, what's helped me grow so much is having a color palette for not only my brand, but for the clothing that my clients wear. And that really creates a strong brand and a really beautiful, cohesive feed that coordinates and goes seamlessly together. So people can look on my account and it looks more like a magazine layout where you have the pinks in the font coordinating with the pink in the dress on the other side, and things coordinate and they don't feel jarring. So if you have like bold clothing, reds and yellows and blacks, and next to something that's really soft and light and airy, it can be mentally jarring. In our perspectives, in our brain, we like things to be cohesive and go well together. So I strongly feel that it's important to pick a color palette for your brand. It doesn't have to be light and airy by any means. It could be bold and contrasted, but stick with that and educate your clients on how you use vibrant colors to create your look, and use a style guide to really encourage them and help them understand the importance of that in the final result of the photo. It helps make your editing more consistent and your brand more consistent. Overall, laying out your feed like that is going to attract more people to want to actually click the follow button when they see your feed. Okay, so in addition to having a color palette, you want to really give your clients some specific guidance. So sending them a style guide is so great. Or if you're in like a higher price point, don't do this if you're not in that higher price point yet, but if you're in a higher price point, it's a really great idea to do a phone call with your clients and really go over outfits and explain what looks good with what, like which colors. Maybe warm color palette will look good with more ivories and creams and pinks and stuff like that. And a more cool color palette goes well with grays and blues and purples and things like that. So you can really help them. And then if they're like, oh, should I do this one or this one? You can kind of say, oh, well, I think maybe this one would be better with your husband's outfit. Guidance like that. And then that also can really help your feed, because that elevated look it's not only in the color palette of your brand, but it's a more elevated look overall of your feed, which is going to attract more followers. If you have like all sorts of different things in your feed, different colors, and some people are wearing dresses, other people are wearing like ripped jeans and like super casual, it's a little confusing on which look you're going for, and it does have a more expensive feel if your clients are wearing nicer clothing. Okay, prioritize faces. So when you're deciding in your carousel what image to put first, I actually recommend you don't do detail images as that first image very often. You could sprinkle them in your feed every now and then, but don't feel like you need to have it like every week or something like that. You don't need like a flat lay Tuesday or something like that, because those images actually get a lot less engagement. Even from babies, if you put shapes that are like a human face versus random shapes that are not in the order of a human face, they will gravitate towards the face. And it's the same thing for us when we're scrolling, we gravitate towards a human face. Okay, so a flat lay, unless it has like gorgeous composition and colors and light, it's probably not gonna get you as many likes and comments. So if you go right now and check your insights on your detail shots versus your shots that were a portrait or a person in the photo, you're gonna see a much lower engagement on those detail shots. And if you do that too often, it can lead to overall your points or your gold coin stash from Instagram getting less, because Instagram does everything based off your previous posts. So if that one got really low engagement, they're like, oh, this account isn't as interesting. Even though overall it is, they base you off of that post, that last post. That one wasn't as interesting, so the next post we're not going to show to as many people. So I think it's important. You can still use those detail shots for sure, but I like to put them in the carousel, like the third or the fourth photo in the carousel, not the first or second photo. Okay. Reels, yes, we all know that Reels are the sensation on Instagram, yes. But I like to say you need to use them authentically. So don't just copy some trend, just trying to jump on a trend because you think that's going to get you more followers. Do it in a way that feels good to you. Use something for inspiration, like maybe you want to share something with your clients. Like, here are some tips for getting your kids excited for our session, or here are some tips for styling your session, or just certain things that are going to be interesting for your audience or your clients, okay? And you don't need to do hip hop dances and point to little numbers. Unless you're like a really good dancer, I don't recommend them actually. When Reels started, like first came out, I think everyone was just like, let me just do this because it got viral views. Everything was being put out to everybody. But now Instagram is being a lot more picky and seeing which type of videos are getting more engagement than others. And ones where people are just like dancing and then pointing to the pictures, especially if you can tell it's not super authentic for you, it's probably not going to get a lot of growth for your page. So I say you could just do like a cover photo that's a beautiful photo from one of your sessions, and then you can do a talking to camera video with tips or just talking about something to your clients. That can be a reel. So it doesn't have to be anything fancy or choreographed. Just relax and do something fun that inspires you. A couple apps I love for making my videos for Reels are in Stories, sorry, or CapCut. Those are a couple that I use all the time, especially CapCut. I really love. It's really user-friendly, really easy to use, and I love saving it in there first rather than trying to make a reel in Instagram, because then you can save the quality at 1080p, which is what Instagram wants, and it will keep the quality. Whereas if you try to do it in Instagram, it might compress it. They try to compress it there, and it can kind of mess with the resolution and the quality. So I like to do it in an outside app and then upload it in Instagram. So don't add any music yet, but upload it in Instagram and then try to find a trending song. So you can see here in the slide, I have a little screenshot of a trending song, and you can tell it's trending because it has that little arrow. So if you see a song, you're like on your Reels scrolling for music or looking through Reels, you can find trending songs with that little arrow. So click on it, and then as long as it doesn't have like a million views, something over like 200,000 views might be too many views and your post will probably get lost. But something like under like around 30K views, it's trending, that's going to be really successful for your reel. So that's another tip for making reels. Another great element you can add to your slideshows is behind the scenes. So you could just have someone like a dad even taking a behind the scenes at a family session. If you really want to get fancy, having a videographer come and take really amazing footage. But you could just do something simple like having someone there or an assistant come and take some behind the scenes, and then adding that in between your photos can be really impactful and get more likes and engagement. Okay, so you guys, stories are still relevant. People really love to see the face behind the account. So yes, it's good to show your face in your feed, but it's even better to show it in your stories. And that's where you can really put your personal life details. In your feed, you really want to stay to one topic and some subtopics that relate to that one topic, like photography, and then you can have my education or maternity photography or family photography, those subtopics related to that. But you don't want to go into other totally different realms. So I probably, I love essential oils, for instance, but I wouldn't start posting about my essential oils in my photography feed because it's kind of irrelevant to the people that follow me. So but I could talk about that in my stories because it's another aspect of my personality that people might not know, and they might be like, oh, that's interesting, I relate to her more. Or I could share, oh, my son was in a cute play, look at him. That's the appropriate place for it, is actually in your stories, not in your feed. So I wouldn't just put an iPhone shot of him like in front of his school in my professional photography feed. The appropriate place for that would be in the stories, and that can get people to know and like and trust me more, and that's going to grow your account as well. Another thing you could do in your stories is a Q&A, a live Q&A. Say, hey, what questions do you guys have for me? That has really boosted my engagement over the past 3 years. I answer questions for people all the time. I'm happy to share anything on Instagram. If you guys are watching this and you want to ask me anything, go to my Instagram and send me a DM. I would love to hear from you guys. And you can share links to your favorite dresses or your favorite things on there. Say you got a great gift, like say it's Father's Day, and you're like, oh, I got this great gift for my husband, and you want to share the Amazon link on there, people would be like, oh, thank you. You can put all sorts of things about your personal life in your stories, and they can get to know you better. Another idea, because going back to what I said about you don't want to just sit there and be like, why isn't anyone engaging with me? It's like you go to a party and you go against the back corner and you're like, why is no one talking to me? You have to go to them and put yourself in the mix and ask them questions about themselves and get to know them, because people really want to feel like you care about them, right? So you want to also go to the accounts of people who already follow you and see who's following you that you are like, oh, wow, I like their account too. Let me go check them out and engage on their posts, because that is going to tell Instagram that you are creating relationships, and it's going to boost your points in the algorithm, boost your gold coin stash if you're making those new relationships and, DMing them or putting comments on their feed, things like that, just from people who they already follow you. They'll be like, that's so exciting. I follow you and I see that you're following me and you're engaging on my posts. It's going to give you more gold coin stash. So this next tip I have isn't necessarily Instagram, but Instagram adjacent. So Pinterest, to be honest, starting to get on Pinterest boosted my visibility by quite a bit more than I thought. I don't think that it's a coincidence that when I started pinning more, my Instagram follower count started snowballing exponentially. So getting on Pinterest, putting your work on there, and people can you can link your Pinterest photo to your Instagram. You can also link it to your blog post if you have helpful tips for clients or things like that. That's going to get seen. People use Pinterest all the time, and I think it's the most underrated platform, and it can really grow your business and your Instagram. Just as a suggestion, I love the app Tailwind because I use Pinterest all the time, but I don't get on there in the way that I use Instagram. And like with Instagram, I don't mind just doing a post, commenting and engaging. I don't feel the need to batch them. I know some people love batching their Instagram posts too, but for Pinterest, it works best for me to just batch them and not think about it, because it's less of an engagement platform. It's more of a search platform, okay? So I can just have things planned in my Tailwind app, and they can just go out scheduled, like without me even thinking about it. And I don't have to go, there's no like in the first 20 minutes, I need to go engage with people who pin my pin. No, I don't have to really worry about it. So with that, you can just post and ghost with Pinterest, and it's gonna boost your Instagram. Okay, so the next tip I have is showcase variety in your feed. So yes, you want it to be consistent to your brand. That's really, really important. But you also want to show a little bit of variety. So if you're an outdoor photographer, you can go to different locations and scout different areas that work for your style. And if you're a studio photographer, it might be a little trickier to grow if you only do studio photos. So you could incorporate different backdrops to make it interesting in your feed, so it's not just all white and all the same, like a cake smash over and over and over again. There's going to be less chance for growth. I mean, that doesn't mean it's not a terrible thing to have only 1,000 followers. You could still have a super successful business making a lot of money with only 1,000 followers and doing it that way. But if what you're looking for is to grow and get your account bigger, then you might want to incorporate some different things. So like a gray backdrop, a pink backdrop, different flowers. You could either use real flowers or fake flowers, just different elements to kind of mix it up so your feed doesn't look too much the same. Like you want it to be cohesive and in one color palette, but not just same, if that makes sense. Okay, so In addition to having a color palette, you want to really give your clients some specific guidance. So sending them a style guide is so great. Or if you're in like a higher price point, don't do this if you're not in that higher price point yet, but if you're in a higher price point, it's a really great idea to do a phone call with your clients and really go over outfits and explain what looks good with what, like which colors. Maybe warm color palette will look good with more ivories and creams and pinks and stuff like that. And a more cool color palette goes well with grays and blues and purples and things like that. So you can really help them. And then if they're like, oh, should I do this one or this one? You can kind of say, oh, well, I think maybe this one would be better with your husband's outfit. Guidance like that. And then that also can really help your feed, because that elevated look it's not only in the color palette of your brand, but it's a more elevated look overall of your feed, which is going to attract more followers. If you have like all sorts of different things in your feed, different colors, and some people are wearing dresses, other people are wearing like ripped jeans and like super casual, it's a little confusing on which look you're going for, and it does have a more expensive feel if your clients are wearing nicer clothing. All right, so focus on uniqueness of your brand and what really stands out as something that represents your brand well. So if you have a shoot that, wow, they really took your styling advice to heart and they did an amazing job with the style and the location and everything really represents your brand well, definitely use that on your Instagram and your Pinterest and post a bunch from in the carousels. But remember, you don't have to post every session. I actually don't post a lot of sessions for a multitude of reasons, but I choose the most impactful images, the best sessions where they're dressed the most elevated and cohesive, and it really fits and represents my brand well so that I can attract future people like that to me at another time. So clients that see that want that really elevated, expensive, light and airy photography, they're going to come to me. Whereas if I were to post everything, and all my sessions are on brand, it's just there's some that I are like, wow, that's really representative of my brand, and others that are like, well, the guy tried, but maybe his shirt wasn't like very on brand for me or something like that. There could be other reasons, but just don't feel like you have to post everything. And we definitely don't have to post every day of the week anymore. It's really not about that. It's about quality over quantity. And I really only post once every week or two, to be honest now. When you're starting out, like once a week is great, but don't feel like I saw someone who put a reel of their dog in their backyard because they're like, I forgot to take behind the scenes at this wedding I shot. So here's a picture of my dog in the backyard. No, just so if you are finding yourself feeling like, oh, I have to post, so I'm just going to post something that I have, like take a picture of something really quick and take a picture of my kid or whatever, just to post. Don't ever post just to post. Only post things that really represent your brand well. Or if you don't quite have those images yet and you're not quite attracting those ideal clients yet, create those posts, create those images and those sessions. Do marketing photos that really fit your brand and attract that ideal client, and then post those. Another thing you can do is collaborate with other artists or other accounts. So something I like to do is do collaborations for basically artistic inspiration. So I team up with florists and dress places where they provide the dress and the florals, and I give them photos. And this for me has a couple of things that really help my business. It helps me because then they post it to their account and other people see my work on their account. But also it shows my artistic vision. So I really think it's important to, at some point, do some photos that are just for you and your business and what you really want to showcase as far as your inner artist, I guess I would say. So it doesn't have to be models at all. It doesn't have to be like this fashion one. This one was actually in Tatler magazine. I was so excited. But it doesn't have to be something that's in a fashion magazine at all. Say you're really inspired by motherhood and you really love to show the bond that mothers have with their babies, and you have this artistic vision of having a shoot with a mother and her baby, and she's in a vintage dress and like in the river, like breastfeeding her baby. And that really showcases an element of your brand. Do something like that and find a person on Instagram that would be perfect for the look that you're envisioning. Don't be afraid to be picky about who you choose for that. Pick someone who really fits the vision. Say if you want someone with long flowing black hair or whatever it is, pick someone like that and offer them some free photos in exchange for coming to do it and doing it in a way that is all produced by you, all chosen by you. So with clients, yes, we guide them towards certain things and we attract our certain people, but you do want to give them some control. Whereas when you do these type of shoots, they're really just for you and for your brand, for your artistic vision. So when people see that, they start to kind of understand you and your artist's eye better, and that's going to make your Instagram stand out more. So whatever it is, motherhood, fashion, you can find people to do these collaborations with you on Instagram, and that also boosts your algorithm by creating those connections. So reach out to them, offer them free photos. You can find models by doing hashtag whatever the city name is and then model, or you can use a blogger. Like if you're like, oh, I follow this local blogger and she has the cutest little baby, let me offer some photos to her in exchange for doing this project with me. And that can really grow your account. All right, so hopefully you guys know this, but I think some people are hesitant to get a planning app because it is a subscription cost. But let me tell you, it is 100% worth the cost. I love the app Preview, but there are others. There's Plan, Plann, and there's Planoly. You really want to be able to have this planning app to see which photos look good next to each other. Like, oh, this one, maybe I should wait till up here to post it. Oh, these two colors don't really blend well together next to each other. Using that to see visually what your feed's going to look like before you post it is just really going to make a difference. Okay, so all in all, I just want to tell you guys, love the algorithm, embrace the algorithm, give it a hug. Don't be like, oh, it's an excuse for my work isn't getting seen because of the algorithm. I want you to start saying, I love it because it shows me what I want to see and it shows my work to the right audience rather than people who don't really like that type of photography or whatever it is that you're doing in your business. Let Instagram find you the right audience and build your community. And so I hope this presentation has inspired you. So if you are thinking after seeing this presentation, wow, I really want to improve my consistency to get more business and grow my account and bring in more ideal clients, you can check out my course. The Light Live and Transformation course is really going to help you. And this is everything that's included. Okay, so this course is for those who already know how to shoot in manual. So I know this community you guys already totally understand the basics of ISO and aperture and shutter speed. So it doesn't go into those basics, but what it does is it teaches you my specific style. So if you're looking to get the Light Live-In style, and you want to be able to have consistency in your brand and really consistent photos, really amazing straight out of camera images that have really great lighting and amazing skin tones and be editing really quickly so that you can get your life back. You can just have straight out of camera photos that look amazing and then edit them quickly with the Light Live-In preset. And if you want your work to really stand out as a work of art that makes people stop their scroll and want to engage with you and book you for a session, then definitely check out my course. I hope you guys found this helpful and you're able to collect all the gold coins on Instagram and have so much fun with it. If you have any questions, please send me a DM at Light Live-In Photography. And I'm going to give Krista students a special discount code if you guys are interested in my course as well. And that is Krista100 for $100 off of the Light Live-In Transformation course. Okay, thanks guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.